Hey, welcome to the third episode of Realtime Startup, and this episode is all about the logo creation process. So in this episode, I'll show you how I created the logo for Howfinity from scratch. In this case, I ended up using my background in design, so I used Illustrator and Photoshop to create this logo, which sort of kind of popped in my head. The idea came to my head kind of organically, so it was an easy process. But in this video, I just wanted to show you some of the resources you could use if design and illustration and Photoshop is not your strong suit and it's not your background. You could still use companies that create logos for you. And it's really easy to go about it that way because you could get lots of different ideas. You don't have to have the perfect idea, but the logo process, the logo creation process is really important because this is what you're gonna look at all the time. It's part of you creating your brand. So make sure you don't cheap out here. Make sure you're really happy with the final logo for your company. And in the link in the description, I'll put a link to a service that I've used previously. Again, I created this logo myself, but if that's not your background, make sure you use a service that could really give you some high-end logo design, and I'll leave that in the description. And I recorded this clip a little bit ago, so I wanted to just roll the clip again, keeping this in real time, authentic. I recorded this clip when I actually designed the logo right when it was done. So let me go ahead and roll that clip. And again, in the comment, I love to hear your feedback on what you think of this logo that we came up with. It's day 2, and the first thing on my to-do list is to create a logo. So I spent a little bit of time at work just thinking of different ideas for the logo, and the idea I came up with was using the infinity symbol in some way to create the logo. Since the name is Howfinity, I thought the infinity symbol would sort of be the kind of the best way to represent that name. And I really love the infinity symbol. It's one of my favorite math symbols. The only problem was I needed something else because you're talking about a video website, so the infinity symbol doesn't really say video. So then I thought about how can I just use a simple play icon in the infinity symbol. So I started playing around in Illustrator and I came up with this, just a simple infinity symbol. And I was just able to put this simple play icon into the infinity symbol. It kind of flows nicely. In the past, I hired a logo design company called 99 Design. The way 99 Design works is you give them some ideas for design, some ideas for layout, some ideas for color, and then in exchange, they get a lot of designers to submit different ideas to you. And then you get to pick one of those ideas and then even work with that single designer to refine it and make it perfectly yours. But in this case, I kind of had an idea right when I thought of the name that I wanted to use the infinity symbol. And then when I started playing around in Illustrator and kind of drawing the infinity symbol and coming up with the play icon, the next step was to give it some life with color. So I took it to Photoshop just to play with color. I find it easier to work with color in Photoshop. So I put just a gradient overlay of blue. Blue just happens to be my favorite color. And I gave it a little gradient just in the center here. And then I also added a tagline to the bottom of it. And this tagline I just had in my mind for a while. It's basically a place where you learn how to do things. And I really wanted to make it an actionable item. So I wanted to say, to learn something and then go do it. Like you have all the knowledge in a quick format video to learn and do. So I wanted to just incorporate that into my tagline. So learn how, do now. And the next thing was to create a little variation to the color just for different platforms. I wanted to see what it's going to look like, like a plain white or plain black. So here's another Photoshop file where I just put the logo in on top of a black background. I don't really have a purpose for the white logo right now. I think I'm going to stick with the blue logo, but it's just a nice option to have just in case the blue logo doesn't work for some videos or for some platforms. I just did a quick export as, and in the export window, I just basically changed the size and put it in different formats, and I have it in PNG and JPEG with transparency, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So next stop is going to be creating a YouTube page.